Right, joining me in the studio is a member of the PPP, spokesperson for a group that went on demonstration regarding what they term as government paying fraudulent money to InfraSubu Solutions for some services that had rendered. So I'm being joined in the studio by Frederick Enyan, who is spokesperson for the group. You're welcome to Midday.
Thank you.
You're raising questions. The Progressive People's Party is worried or blaming government for paying fraudulent monies to Suba Info Solutions regarding what has been transpiring in terms of the telecommunications issues.
All right, thank you. You would recall that in 2010, government contracted Suba Info Solution to monitor the call service or the call traffics of the various telcos. Now, what happened was that Suba needed to have attached some monitoring equipment to the physical network nodes of the various mobile network operators. We are told in a committee report that this did not happen. Now, the telcos themselves, in a letter that I have with me here, have denied categorically that Suba ever approached them to attach these monitoring equipment. Now, if contract was signed for Suba to attach some monitoring equipment and to be able to, as it were, ascertain the exactitude of call volumes, and then this was not done, or this did not happen, how then did government advance payment to Suba? We are told by government on another breath that the payment was as a result of Suba's ability in terms of monitoring to have been able to determine some incremental revenue, 21% incremental revenue. But you see, the fact of the matter is, the increase in revenue, it's a very simple thing to understand. Telcos over the years have reported an increase in subscription. In 2007, for instance, telcos reported that there were approximately 7 million subscribers. In 2010, it increased to 17 million. In 2013, it increased to 27.5 million subscriptions. What it means is that there is a positive correlation between the subscription and access lines. Once subscription increases, access lines would increase. Once access line increases, revenue would increase. And then if revenue increases, payment of tax, whatever is paid on tax, would also increase. This is a simple thing to understand. We cannot attribute this change or this increase in subscription to the monitoring efforts by Suba. And that is why we think that the 74.3 million should not have been paid or been advanced to Suba.
So are you saying that the monies paid to Suba is your problem, or the monies that Suba is supposed to pay to government as revenue is not forthcoming?
The money that government has paid to Suba is the problem, because we believe that Suba did not deserve the monies that were paid to Suba, because Suba was unable to execute the contract terms.
So what do you expect the government to do as we sit?
As we said, we expect the government to, as it were, retrieve the monies that have been paid or that have been advanced to Suba. And then, as it were, since last year, October 2010, that was the time that Suba was introduced to the telcos, and was in November that Suba actually attached the monitoring equipment. And so, if payment ought to be made, it should be from November 2013 to date. So that is what government needs to do. The earlier payments need to be retrieved, and then payment be calculated from November 2013 to date.
But you're talking about the introduction between Suba and government. Did you expect Suba to approach government for that introduction?
No, what we are saying is, government had contracted Suba, a private firm, to do some monitoring for government. Now, the onus lied on government to introduce Suba to the telcos. If that did not happen, and Suba knew that, or government knew this contract was not scandalous, Suba would have gone ahead or would have approached the telcos to be able to attach their monitoring equipment, but that did not happen. So there was no contact between Suba and the telcos or the mobile network operators. Now, if there was no contact between Suba and then the mobile network operators, then how did Suba do this monitoring that we are told? You know the funny thing that happened? Now, because Suba never approached the mobile network operators, they went behind the mobile network operators to the National Communications Authority to obtain some data to do this monitoring. Now, the data that was obtained from the National Communications Authority do not have the communication service tax levied on them. So, if you obtain this data, it is still irrelevant to the administration of Ghana Revenue Authority to be able to charge the right taxes. So, effectively, the execution of contract was void. there was nothing.
Void in the execution of contract. You had a press conference. Beyond the press conference, what are the steps you're going to take? So
we have outlined, or we have posed 10 very important and highly relevant questions. These questions have come from very, very important sources. We have sat down, thought through the whole process, and then we've raised these 10 questions. As soon as possible, government, specifically the GRA, the NCA, SUBA itself, Ministry of Communication, and then Ministry of Finance should, as soon as possible, provide answers to rest the case. If that does not happen, then we would take it up, and the options we have on the table include court action.
We'll leave it here. Thank you for speaking to us, Frederick Enyan, spokesperson for those on demonstration PPP, calling for a number of structures within the Suba Info Solutions contract.